Hello, everybody. Megan Taslaman here in Thyroid Healthy Balance for this beautiful Wednesday evening. Tonight, I'm going to be discussing: is it your gut or is it your thyroid, and why there are common misdiagnoses and over medication when one area of the body has not been fully diagnosed, which often, when we uncover that, becomes a root cause. Okay, so I wanted to talk about this. So often I've spoken more about, that the thyroid is underdiagnosed. However, it goes both ways. And I found it really astonishing when I was going through some research, and I found a research paper which was done on a series of case studies. So this is not like a systematic review or a meta-analysis where they actually gain statistics on a whole host of different clinical trials. This is very different. It is a case series where they just specifically look at one person and then look at another person, and they see correlations and they see a thread through all of those different case studies. So there's lots of different types of evidence, and this is why it's great to do this research and have a look and see what's going on with other people in the world, to see what are the common pitfalls. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this live training, because you may resonate, and especially if you're watching here tonight and you're on thyroxine, you're on medication. However, it's never really helped you. Your blood pathology may look a little bit better. However, your signs and symptoms haven't improved. So this to me is a red flag. Okay, and I'm going to break it down this evening. So if you're new here to the group, a very, very warm welcome to you. This is a place where we uncover root causes, potential areas to look at, just to broaden your understanding of this elusive area, thyroid wellness, because there are so many different triggers, exacerbating factors, root causes, and we can't just shine the light on the thyroid without honoring other aspects of our health, because we're kind of missing the point if we do that. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you're in here on the live training, or if you're coming in later on, please let me know that you're here. Give me a thumbs up, give me a love heart, say hello, and let's make this interactive. Of course, I welcome you to ask your questions along the way. Even if you're coming in a little bit down the track, it could be in a month or a couple of months' time. If you're watching this replay, please ask your questions. Please tag my name so that I can see your question and get back to you as soon as possible. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so first of all, I'm just going to double check that I am live. I'm pretty sure I am. I'll just quickly double check. Yes, I am. Beautiful. Wonderful. I can't see the comments here, but I can see that they've come through on the phone. So excuse me for one moment. I'm just going to get these up here so that I can actually see the comments. Here we are. Oh, Sue's here. Sharon's here. Fantastic. Beautiful. I'm just going to see how this works today. Doing something a little bit different. All righty. Let me just pull up my notes and we will get into it. Okay, so is it really your thyroid, or is it excuse me, or is it your gut? Excuse me. Really dry weather today. Is it your thyroid or is it your gut? Okay, so here's the thing, the symptoms overlap. Whether you have a gut issue or a thyroid issue or both, the symptoms are fatigue. The number one symptom for both is fatigue. Feeling foggy, just feeling really, really unwell. You might have a bit of depression. There could be constipation, bloating, diarrhea, reflux, all of these types of conditions. However, you've just been looking at the thyroid, and because the parameters are a little bit out, you may even be on some medication. But however, it hasn't actually helped you. Let me know if this is you. Just say, yes, I resonate. All right, so you're on thyroxine, however, you're not feeling better. And I know that this is a common scenario because, I hear it all the time. That's why people often turn to the natural space for healing, because in the natural space, we actually look at everything as opposed to just, expecting this golden, medication to do all the work, right? So, yes, if you resonate, let me know. Yeah, absolutely, Shell. Yeah, thank you for responding. Um, because this is a common problem. The medication is not designed to heal your thyroid. That's why when one person goes on thyroxine, they're often told you'll be on this for life. Okay, so who here gets that? Who here has heard that you're actually going to be on the medication for life? Well, I've got some exciting news, because some of these case series have showed very clearly, one lady that was on medication for 20 years has come off medication once her gut issues were addressed. All right, now that to me is really exciting, because, and that is significant, because often if a medication is doing the job or doing part of the job for the actual thyroid, what it does is it kind of dumbs down the thyroid hormones. So it can be kind of tricky to get them to wake them up again. Not just similar to, taking the pill, like it's like, oh yeah, my periods are really balanced, and I don't have any symptoms anymore. However, what happens with that, just to explain, is that your actual hormones are just a band-aid's being put over them, and they're being mimicked by the medication. Okay, so that's kind of what happens. All right, so hey Rachel, lovely to see you here. We've got Rachel Miller watching. Beautiful. Let me know if you have any questions along the way. All right, so medication is not the answer. I'm telling you now, it is not the answer. It is not going to heal your thyroid. It is not going to uncover the root cause. Okay. Now, 40 GI symptoms or gut and gastrointestinal symptoms are 45 times more common than thyroid disorders, and many thyroid symptoms overlap, as I've mentioned, and up to 61% of people diagnosed with hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's may not need medication at all. That's 61% of people diagnosed with hypothyroidism may not need medication at all. Okay, so here's the thing: you go to the doctor, you do it, you're complaining of fatigue, you may have some digestive symptoms, but they may not really be looked at, because, in the biomedical model, the gut is a completely different system to the thyroid. The thyroid is part of the endocrine system, whereas the gut is the digestive system. So they're not really looked at together. And typically you may then be put on medication. Okay. Or you may be sent to an endocrinologist. Okay. And then put on medication. However, your symptoms aren't really resolving, but every 3 months when you go and get the blood pathology done, your levels are looking better. So you're told, oh yes, you're good. Let's just maintain that medication. Who here resonates with that? It's like, oh, you're good. Your thyroid's normal now. However, you still may be suffering from anxiety, insomnia, depression. You still may have significant amounts of fatigue. You may have hair fall. You may have bloating. All of these symptoms overlap between these two systems. So then we can kind of break it down and think, well, chicken and egg scenario, like which one came first? Was it the thyroid or was it the gut? What I'm finding is that, clients come to me with a thyroid condition, or they come to me with symptoms of thyroid because they've not really had the full panel done. And, some people just get fed up and just, bypass the medical model and come straight to naturopathy, which is great. You're welcome. Welcome to come into my world, see what we look at. And, if this has actually happened to you, well, we just need to take a better look. We need to drill down and we need to really see what's going on. We need to see what's going on in your gut. Okay? is it the chicken or the egg, right? Which one came first? So as I was saying, with clients coming into my world, the ones that think that they may have a thyroid condition, most of those clients, when we do the thyroid testing, we find it all stems from the gut. Having said that, we can still sometimes see that there's some autoantibodies, okay, but there are no actual, the thyroid is completely in place, so that could be like a subclinical like Hashimoto's. So we need to treat both, because if we heal the gut and really nip that in the bud, there's a likelihood that those symptoms will resolve and that particular situation will not trickle down the road and a domino effect actually manifest as a thyroid dis-ease. So that's the exciting thing. The other side of the coin, the flip side, is, let's say, for example, you have a thyroid condition that's been diagnosed and you're on medication and you're not getting better, and you've got some gut distress or gut symptoms. Some of them you may have just learned to live with, so they may not be too problematic. It doesn't mean that they are, don't need to be addressed. That's where clients with that scenario who come into my world, same thing. We do the level of testing which actually uncovers the root cause with what's actually going on. And same thing, we actually heal the gut. And then symptoms of thyroid resolve over time once we actually know what we're dealing with. We actually understand what's going on. Okay, is it small intestinal bacterial overgrowth? Okay, which typically would mean that you have an intolerance to FODMAP foods, if you've heard of that. They are a group of foods. That FODMAP is an acronym for a group of or several groups of different carbohydrates in foods, and typically you will get bloating on these types of foods: garlic, onions, cauliflower, broccoli, as an example, watermelon, things like that. And you may just think, oh, I've got an intolerance, or I've just got to steer clear of those. Legumes is another big one. However, once we actually address the situation of what's going on, which potentially could be SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, well, that's when the symptoms will resolve and you can then go on to enjoy those foods. Now, the longer that's been going on, generally the longer it takes to resolve, because we're talking about bacteria here, and bacteria multiply. So we need to actually look at the severity of the problem. It could be like a multifaceted issue where there's a little bit more than just one gut bug. There might be a couple. There might be really low numbers of your good or beneficial bacteria in your gut, the good guys, I like to call them, or there could be a level of leaky gut as well. Okay, and you could even have a parasite, or a candida overgrowth, like a yeast overgrowth, or there could be a H. pylori infection. All of these, we really need to nut it out what it is, and we need to take a step-by-step approach in helping to bring the cohesion and balance back to your digestive system. And it's not just about eradication, because that sounds like, oh, well, we've got to go to war on these little microbes. It's about also bringing back into balance other aspects of your digestive system, like, for example, your liver, your blood sugar, your digestive enzymes, and of course, drilling down into the foods that you're eating and the type of lifestyle that you're living, to see what sabotaging factors are actually hindering your ability to heal. Okay, so really it's multifaceted, and in my clinical and personal experience, we really need to look at it as a multifaceted issue or dysfunction, because if we're just looking in one area, honestly, we're not honoring our whole organism with what it actually needs to heal. So, the efforts are going to be quite futile if we're just looking at one area and not the few different areas. Okay. Then there's other things like, depression, anxiety. Of course, they can be masked by the administration of anxiolytics, medications, SSRIs, etc. And if that's something that may have been prescribed to you for quite a while, during that time, that may be masking other symptoms, and therefore it could be that, like your gut thyroid connection has not yet been uncovered. So there's many different angles in which to come in and look at what approach we're going to take in terms of what functional tests we choose, where we start with your diet, where we start with your lifestyle. Does it warrant like a complete overhaul? Where are you on the spectrum of actually feeling incredibly unwell? And where is it just like subclinical, like you're dragging the chain, you're able to function, but you're kind of dragging the chain and you just know that things are a little bit off. So there's many different areas. And on that, I'd just love to know, for those of you who are watching that are here tonight, and also those of you coming in on the replay later on, just drop me a number from 0 to 10, 10 being the high severity of symptoms and 1 being very little symptoms in terms of your thyroid/gut distress. It could be more one or the other, but your overall level of health. If you were to rate your health right here, right now, at the moment that you're watching this live training, what rating would you give yourself? Out of 10, like 10 is the most severe. I need to actually say that because I need to remember that I've said that 10 is, like more symptoms, and 1 is you're feeling amazing, very little signs and symptoms, and you're good to go. You're just here for education and understanding, and you're doing really, really super well. I'd love to know. Just drop a number in the comments. Because I also, with this live training, what I would love to bring to you tonight is just the certainty that wherever you are on your health journey right now doesn't have to be for the rest of your life. It is absolutely possible to change those numbers in as little as 4 weeks. Just like some of the ladies watching here tonight. We've had significant change with a lot of clients that have come into my world over the last couple of months in just a few short weeks by truly understanding exactly what's going on in their body. So, if you've been sitting on the fence or just doing the same thing every day and not actually having any significant change in your health and wellness, I invite you to book a call. Just type call, book a call, and we can have a chat. I've had several chats over the last couple of weeks, and some of you aren't ready. Others are ready. You're ready. So at the end of the day, it's up to you. This is your decision. It's your health. It's your body. It's your life. I'm here as a facilitator for your health and wellness to take that pressure off. To take the pressure off your shoulders, to do the research, to my due diligence, to analyze absolutely everything with what's going on in your body, to create a treatment plan, to create a pathway plan so that you can actually move through and create the health shifts and actually feel much better. All right, I'm just going to have a look at the comments. Right, Sue, right now a 3 or a 4. When I came to you, about a 9. Yes, absolutely, Sue. Oh, and the progress is magnificent to watch. It is absolutely fantastic. Shell is a 7. Okay, we need to have a chat, Shell. Yep, absolutely. All right. So yeah, if you're coming in later on, just drop in a number and let's just see what's going on and how we can help shift you through. All right, so I'm going to go into some of these case studies because I found them super interesting. Now, let me just, this was from a case study series on the gut thyroid connection. And okay, let me just go down here. So I've mentioned some of the things. So for example, you know, research has shown that working with and improving your digestive system, such as introducing low FODMAP foods or probiotics. We know that probiotics can help with depression, anxiety, and cognitive function, as well as constipation. And specific treatments for H. pylori and SIBO, these can actually help to reduce your thyroid autoantibodies and improve your TSH levels. Right? How exciting is that? So we're focusing on the gut. Nothing has changed with your thyroid. Nothing has changed. There's no tweaks in your medication. We're not targeting, we're not firing shots at the thyroid. There's no point. We don't want to be firing shots and chucking copious amounts of iodine, selenium, zinc, and all of these thyroid fortifying supplements. We don't want to be doing that without addressing the root cause. Seriously, you may have adequate selenium in your tissue. That's why we do that functional test. You may have adequate zinc in your tissue. You may have adequate calcium and magnesium and potassium and phosphorus in your tissue and iron. However, you know, so we're not just going to go, oh, okay, subclinical thyroid based on the pathology panel. You might have a high TSH, you might have a low T4 and a suboptimal T3. You might have some autoantibodies. The last thing I will do is prescribe you a thyroid supplement. Because how different is that to the medicos? Yes, it's natural, still synthesized in a lab. However, it is natural vitamins and minerals. But how different is that to medication? It's the same principle. So we're not utilizing that principle. You know, we're doing things differently over here in, you know, the thyroid naturopath. We're doing things completely differently because there's no point in just firing shots at the thyroid, pulling it this way and pulling it that until we've stabilized cohesion in other body systems, until we've got the communication and the connection between your body systems, until we've uncovered the root cause and begun healing in your digestive system. That's what I'm talking about tonight. That may not be your overarching root cause. It could be mold toxicity. It could be heavy metal toxicity. You know, we don't know what it is. You know, those those root causes may also show up in digestive dysfunction, right? So we need to look at the whole picture, okay? But how exciting that the research shows that when we treat H. pylori, when we treat small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, when we bring balance back to the gut, your natural TSH, which is the whip on your thyroid, think of a racehorse, you know, it is the whip. TSH goes up when it's trying to whip your thyroid into action, like, come on, get going, come on, metabolism, off you go. You know, it's the whip, okay? So when a sluggish thyroid will have a higher TSH. Okay, a thyroid that is racing a little bit too much will have a low TSH, just to remind you of that if you're unsure of that. Okay, and that essentially will mimic what happens with your T4, and then your T3 all depends on your body health. It depends on your cellular health, depends on what's going on in the cells of your body and how healthy they are, and whether you've got the cofactors for that. Okay. All right. So let's get into these case studies. I just wanted to really highlight the main points of these case studies. So case study 1, a woman diagnosed with hypothyroidism for 20 years. I think I mentioned this at the beginning. Improved significantly with gut-focused care, and when it was able to discontinue her thyroid medication while remaining biochemically euthyroid, which basically means she's within the parameters that are on the Douglas Hanley and Moore pathology, like the population studies. Okay, case study 2, a patient who was wrongly diagnosed with hypothyroidism. So this would be an example of where the thyroid is really sluggish. And let's face it, that blood test is a snapshot in time. You know, like our blood never stays the same. I mean, some aspects of our blood does. Of course, the pH of our blood does. However, you know, I mean, often, sorry, I was just distracted. Hey, Carrie Ann. Hey, Joanne. Welcome, welcome. I'm just watching who's coming in. Ask any questions along the way. Yeah, so, you know, like if you've got a worsening of symptoms on thyroid medication, okay, so wrongly diagnosed, you would actually typically have a worsening of symptoms on thyroid medication. Okay, so this particular case, this lady, she saw complete resolution of all of her symptoms with a gut-targeted treatment plan. All of her symptoms, which were falsely diagnosed as having thyroid, so she would have had a sluggish thyroid on the pathology, I should imagine, they all resolved and everything normalized when we focused on the gut. Case number 3, a patient struggling with Hashimoto's symptoms. So that would be hypothyroidism, and she would have had autoantibodies. Saw improvements in thyroid function and a lowering of her autoantibodies after addressing the gut dysbiosis. All right. So this is after addressing the gut dysbiosis. I mean, that is significant. So if you're just kind of going on your life, you've got Hashimoto's, you're focused on the thyroid, you're shining the light on the thyroid. That's you know, all efforts are on the thyroid. You go to your GP, you go to endocrinologist, that's the diagnosis, and that's the focus always. And you may be just, you may have noticed that some foods don't settle well. So you might be just not having those foods. Just think, oh, well, it's just me. I just can't really have too much of that because that kind of sets me off. That's a bit of a problem. You know, you may be by just kind of sorting out your problem by avoiding those foods. You know, you may be, you know, not always, but you may actually be masking the actual root cause instead of addressing, because, you know, unless you've got an allergy, we shouldn't have problems with any food. That is an allergy, which is an IgE reaction. Intolerance is an IgG, IgA, which are your immunoglobulins reactions, and they can be reversed once the the problem, whether it's dysbiosis or whether it's a gut infection, parasite, you know, candida, overgrowth, H. pylori, whatever it is, they can be reversed. Okay. So yeah, case number 3, sorry, I said 3, case number 4, glasses on again. A patient's fatigue, bloating, and PMS, premenstrual syndrome symptoms improved dramatically with a gut-focused approach, which reduced inflammation and thyroid-related issues. Again, gut-focused treatment plan, you know, gut first. Case number 5, a woman with long-standing digestive issues and an incorrect thyroid diagnosis saw resolution of symptoms after stopping thyroid medication and focusing on her gut health. This is significant. So again, I'm going to ask you, if you're taking medication and you're not getting better, and you may have even mild digestive symptoms or digestive issues, this is a red flag, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a few blokes in this group. This is a red flag. Okay, so if this is you, I'd love you to write gut test, and we'll have a discussion. I'll explain to you what my approach is. First, we'll most likely book a 45-minute call, which is complimentary, so that I can really get an understanding of what's going on. It's not dissimilar. Well, it's not as deep as a first consultation. It's not nowhere near as deep as an initial naturopathic consultation. However, it's a deep dive into your challenges, into your symptoms, into your goals, so that then I can map out a plan for you. And on that plan, generally I can already state what functional test I will be using, at least 2 of them. So if that's something that you're really seeking to find out, just type gut test and we will, we'll just have a call and see where you're at. Okay, case number 6, a patient who has been misdiagnosed with hypothyroidism was able to lose weight, improve sleep, and resolve her symptoms by treating the small intestinal bacterial overgrowth and gut dysfunction. So this would have been a lady who just suffered from bloating and just put it down to indigestion, and it could have gone on for 10 years, and essentially once that was addressed and resolved, all the other symptoms improved. So this is why it's so important to find the root cause, so important. And for many people, what I find, I was talking to a lady today. It's very rare. It's extremely rare. I think there might be not even a % of clients that come into my world where we won't do a gold standard gut function test. It's extremely rare because there's so much information to glean from that. Because when we think about it, that's where the immune system sits. It's the gut immune interface is the gut lining, which is your mucous membrane. That's where you have your secretory IgA. That's where you have your MALT and your GALT. Okay, so this is where the immune system sits. So if we're not addressing what's going on with the gut immune interface, which is most likely broken down and potentially mimicked many symptoms of thyroid, or gone on to become a root cause of, typically it would be Hashimoto's or Graves' disease in those instances where the immune system is involved. I'll be honest, most people who come into my world actually have the autoimmune. There are a select few that don't have the autoimmune component, which is amazing. It's great. Then we're working locally on the endocrine system. However, most people I have found, a lot of people don't actually know, and then we discover that there's an autoimmune function. And typically, if you've been diagnosed with hypothyroidism and you haven't had your autoantibodies tested, I highly recommend that you push to get that done, given that Hashimoto's and Graves are precursors to hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism, respectively. So, and also we can have thyroiditis and a swinging thyroid. It can jump from one to the other. There are a lot of different scenarios. However, once again, if we actually address the root cause and really look at what's going on in the gut, over time, these symptoms will improve. And as the gut heals and we honor our body with what it truly needs from a dietary perspective, from a lifestyle perspective, which, let's be honest, like us humans, we don't want to change. I don't want to stop doing this. I don't want to stop doing that. Like, we're creatures of habit by default. So sometimes these patterns can actually take a long time, depending on your personality type, what's going on in your life, your upbringing, lots of different factors. Okay. All right. So here are some key takeaways. Thyroid symptoms may actually be rooted in gut health issues. And I find that is a common scenario. Gastrointestinal dysfunction is more common than true hypothyroidism and is often overlooked in favor of looking at the thyroid, looking at TSH, T4. They typically don't look at T4, but if you've got a TSH that's sluggish, they may then go on and do a thyroid panel. However, your symptoms won't improve if you've still got disharmony in your gut. A gut-focused approach can resolve symptoms, improve thyroid function, and even reduce your thyroid medication. And that is downright exciting, because most people, when I start working with them, one of their goals is to reduce or to cease thyroid medication. Now, does it happen overnight? No, it doesn't. And it depends on how long you've been on that medication. However, I'm very excited about case study number 1, where this lady was on medication for 20 years and was able to come off it. I have found with my clients, the least time they are on the medication, the more quickly we can resolve and come off that medication. However, clearly that's not the only scenario. So it just depends. Like if your thyroid, if we address the root cause and if we support your thyroid really well and support your endocrine function, your endocrine system, I should say, like for example, your hypothalamus, pituitary adrenal axis and how that then interacts with the thyroid and your hormones and your nervous system, your neurotransmitters. So if we actually look at everything and address all of the potential sabotaging factors or triggers and the overarching root cause, I cannot see any reason why you cannot come off your thyroid medication as long as your thyroid is healthy, because often it doesn't actually do the job. For all people, yes, there are people where it does help, of course, but there are also many people that it doesn't help. And there are a lot of side effects to that medication as well. Okay, in this particular paper, through their research, they have said that hypothyroidism is there's a gross misdiagnosis of hypothyroidism. Okay, now the reason for that is, like on the Douglas, if you have a look at your blood test on the Douglas Hanley Moore or Laverty pathology, you'll see a reference range next to the TSH, and your number will be somewhere within that reference range or outside that reference range. Now that reference range is based on population studies. Okay, however, some people actually run well all their life with on a high TSH. And certainly as we age, as we get older, the TSH will naturally rise because during the aging process, most likely the thyroid needs to do a little bit more work. So it's not unusual for the thyroid stimulating hormone to have to work that a little bit harder and for that to increase. And that is not actually taken into account on the thyroid pathology lab. They don't look at your age and go, okay, so there's this parameter for this, age 60 plus, this parameter for this person, age 30 plus. They don't do that at all. They've just got one reference range. Okay, so this is why there can be a misdiagnosis for a sluggish thyroid. There can be a misdiagnosis for poorly acting thyroid, and it may actually be that if we address the gut issues, the thyroid will naturally just come back into balance. Those parameters will naturally come back into balance at the level that your body likes. So your body may always run on a 3 for TSH, or it could be on a 2 for TSH, or it could be on a 3.5. Who are we to say? Yeah, it's all based on your signs and symptoms. So I'm telling you now, if your signs and symptoms resolve by addressing the gut issue as the potential root cause here, well, then you most likely can come off medication and everything's just going to balance out because your body is on your side. And all of my clients know this. Your body is on your side. It wants to heal. It wants to heal. And sometimes we need to clear the slate. We need to get real. We need to really see what's going on in your lifestyle, what's going on in your diet, where are the root causes, what deeper layers we need to heal. And get to work on I don't like to call it work, begin your journey or continue your journey to uncover truly what's going on in your body, heal that, and you'll heal your thyroid. That's my last message to you. Heal the root cause and you'll heal your thyroid. So a comprehensive approach which focuses in on dietary elements, lifestyle elements, looking at gut healing, of course, looking at stress management, looking at environmental toxins, looking at all these other things. Of course, we need to look at that as well. However, what I found is looking at the gut first because of the interface between digestive and immune, which often triggers into autoimmune, is crucial. Is crucial. So here's the thing. If this is something you haven't considered, or if this is something that you haven't actually, for whatever reason, you haven't actually really dived into deeply, or you may have had some gut function tests done, but you haven't really seen it through, whatever the reason, if this resonates in any way or form, and you would like to have a discussion with me to learn about my steps that I would take in working with you to truly, once and for all, get to the bottom of what's going on with your thyroid, just write gut first. And what's going to happen is me or Shell or Leanne, who are part of my team, we will reach out to you and we'll, find a time, book a call, connect, and go from there. All right, that's it from me. And please, if you have any questions, ask away and I will get back to you. Please do a hashtag replay and let me know if you found this valuable. I really would appreciate the feedback as well. And if you want a copy of this clinical trial, of course, just drop clinical trial and I'll send it across to you. All right, that's it from me. Bye for now.